All right. I am not going to be playing it safe with my message today. I think you guys know that. What I've been doing is holding back what I've been really thinking the past several months because I'm afraid I'm going to be hurting people's feelings or that I'm going to be judged. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be giving it to you guys real here. And I'm sorry if I offend people, but I'm also not sorry because I do believe that other women need to feel this and need to hear this. I'm going to be making sure that I look at this to stay on track. I know that I might lose some followers and that's okay. But I want you guys to do your best to stick with me and be open-minded during this conversation. And I will be checking in at the end if you guys have any comments or questions or whatever. I've had a fucking revelation this year. I've lost my mom and I've also lost my breasts. I've taken my breast implants out, not my breast to breast cancer. Both of these things have been crazy transformational, and unless you've gone through these things, you might not understand. However, I can share with you this experience and what it has done with me and give you that experience just through sharing what I'm feeling. So I want to call this my letter to all women, and I want you guys to know that I'm not doing it from a place of look at me, I'm better than you. I'm doing this as a look at me, I am you. So I want you to know that this is coming with the least amount of judgment, or really no judgment possible. Okay, so please keep an open mind. And I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about today's fucked up beauty standards, and I want to talk about how getting implants, lip injections, fillers, butt implants, and all these things have somehow become normalized and are also supported by women, our peers, during this whole self-love, babe supporting babes, and body positive movement. And I want to talk about how these current procedures are not safe, regardless of what people say, what your doctors say, what your friends say, and what you may find on the internet, that these things are not okay for you and is not cool to do to your body. I also want to give you guys 5 ways that we need to take back the right as women to feel confident in our own aging bodies and feel beautiful the way we are, because right now my big revelation is that we're doing this to ourselves and that we are the ones that are creating this expectation that we're going to age without a wrinkle and that our tits are going to look super big after having children somehow, and that we're never going to have sagging skin or stretch marks. And like, we're going and we're getting these procedures and we're encouraging our friends, our peers, our sisters, our moms, our aunts, whoever, to go and do these things because somehow we think that that's going to make them feel better. But all we're doing is perpetuating this whole fucked up society and beauty standards that honestly I don't think that we should be doing to ourselves. So I want to give you guys 5 ways at the end I think that we should be moving past this. So for those of you that don't know, just 8 months ago, I was actually thinking of getting bigger implants. I was thinking of going from my C cup to a D cup, and I was also thinking of hosting Botox parties. And I tell you this because I want you to know that when I'm talking about these things that, like I mentioned, this is not coming from a place of judgment and look at me, I'm better than you. This is honestly coming from a place of holy fuck, I was just there and now I'm here, and I want you guys to get there too, because everyone should feel this way. I also want to talk about how 12 months ago, my mom was actually not seeing people that she loved and cared about when she had cancer, and she was dying because she didn't want people to see the way she looked as she was dying. And that is our fucked up beauty standards getting inside our heads and like programming us over the years to make us not even feel beautiful enough in our soul and in the person we are, that if we look different externally, that we don't want to see people because we don't think we look good enough, especially if you feel like that when you're dying. And I think that one of the things that haunted me most about this with my mom, and obviously you're haunted when you see somebody pass away, especially if they're in a lot of pain, but when you see somebody not want to like be around the ones that they love the most because of the way they look, that really makes an impression. And that really, you have to do some thinking and some rearranging in your brain of like, why would somebody feel like that? And so today, I want to talk about cultural conditioning and how we are subconsciously approving these beauty standards. We are the ones doing it, and we have to take back the right. So somehow, I don't know why this is, but somehow the self-love movement, like hashtag self-love, hashtag babe supporting babe, hashtag body positive movement, all of this stuff is happening simultaneously as we're also going and getting lip injections, going and getting Botox, going and getting our breasts done, going and getting butt implants. How is this happening at the same time? And a lot of people are going and they're saying, you know, oh, well, you do you, or like whatever makes you feel good. And I honestly think it is bullshit. And I think that it's not right, and that we need to take back the right of our own beauty, and we need to start telling each other that we're beautiful the way we are with aging lines, because this is normal. This is normal. And if we don't stop this now, where the fuck is it gonna go as we get older and older and older? And how is this gonna make an impression on our children and their children and their children? So right now, I have to admit that I have been like fostering a lot of guilt ever since I've kind of come to this revelation. And I foster a lot of guilt because I was that person that was perpetuating this lifestyle. I was the person that was talking openly about my breast implants and how they made me feel good and how I loved them. And I was the person that was talking about getting Botox and doing these things because I thought it would make me feel better or look more fresh or look younger. And I was actually at one point putting face filters on my face that you saw on Instagram. And I don't mean just like a filter to like change the color of your photo and enhance it. I'm fine with that. I mean, like, I was actually fucking with my face and like making it clear and making my eyes more blue, and like, that's fucked up. And like, so many people are doing that, and people are actually enhancing their eyes and their lips and going to plastic surgeons and asking for their faces to look like that. Like, they're not beautiful enough. So I want to talk about this because it kills me. It kills me that I was a part of this movement, and instead of like sitting there and just focusing on the guilt, and then I've been trying to play it so safe and like not want to hurt anybody's feelings because I want to be all inclusive, and I didn't want anyone to feel judged, and I didn't want anyone to judge me. I can't do it anymore. I want to be the change that I want to see, and I want you guys to be the change that I know deep down you guys want to see as well. And so I have to talk about this, and I know it's going to upset people, but I know it's coming. I hope you know it's coming for a good place. I do feel like it's an ethical responsibility as somebody that was on the other side of that before to come forward and start talking about this now. And I want you to know that I'm doing this because I love you, and I want to empower you, and I want women to know that they can age gracefully and love themselves as is, and not hashtag self-love and not truly, authentically mean it. So I wish that I could rewind time and tell 22-year-old Ashley that she was enough and that she didn't have to get breast implants. Fuck.
It's okay, you keep going. You keep going.
And I wish I could go back and give my mom a chance to see people she loved without caring the way that she looked. It just makes me so angry that we let these things get in the way, and like, when I have acne, I don't want to go outside, and that I felt like I had to change my body to be beautiful. Oh, this is why I was nervous, because I feel so passionate about this. So I was doing some research, and it's like 91% of women are not happy with themselves. 91%. And the worst way that studies show to fuck with your self-esteem is to compare yourself. So if we're like injecting our face and fucking with our faces and changing it and getting breast implants and getting butt implants. Like, that's our comparison. And that's not cool. Like, we need to actually support each other. We can't be hashtagging self-love, especially as influencers and other influencers out there, and saying that this is self-love, because it's not. And I'm here to tell you it's not. And like, it's a fucking facade. And that you can say, oh, I get Botox because it makes me feel better, but that's not coming from a place of self-love. That's coming from, I don't think I look good enough now. And I'm comparing myself to fucking sexy Sally down the street. And that's not cool. And like, it blows my mind that like, we're doing this to each other. And like, it's like proven that like our subconscious mind does not know the difference between like what's real and what's not. So when you're looking on Instagram and you're seeing people like me put like face filters or Facetune on their face and you think that's real, you're comparing that, and that's not cool. And like, I'm not okay with that anymore. Like, this is not okay. And it makes me so fucking mad when I see like I'm a micro influencer. When I see a huge influencer saying like, you do you, and like self-love, and then they're like all different, like, that's fucking with everyone's heads. And like, the only person that's gonna change that is us. And like, only us can change it. And it starts with us like being real with each other and saying that like, we're comparing ourselves to other people. And if my partner is around a group full of women that have all had mummy makeovers, I'm comparing myself to them, and I'm feeling sometimes lesser than them around, and feeling like maybe my husband's looking at them. Like, let's get fucking real. Like, that's what we're thinking. We're not doing it because like, oh, maybe it would make me feel better. No, we're not thinking we're enough. That's why we're doing it. And like, it's actually interfering with our lives, and it's consuming us, and it's like forcing us to go out and spend like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and like fucking with our bodies and putting ourselves under anesthesia and putting plastic in our face. And like, oh my God, let me get into just a couple things. Like, these things aren't good for you. And like, yeah, you're gonna go, and your plastic surgeon, of course, is gonna be like, oh, they're fine, like, go and do that. Or your esthetician, that's their fucking job. Like, of course they're gonna say that. Of course, if you go on Google, you're gonna find a whole bunch of people that are saying, this is okay for you. Like, there's no studies that show, like, you're literally with Botox, you're literally putting poison in your body. Poison. When you go to the esthetician or a doctor, whoever that's doing that, and do they also tell you that, hey, the FDA came out in 2009 and said it's not just localized, it's also going into other parts of your body? Or, hey, if you have long-term use of this, you're actually gonna lose you're gonna lose elasticity in your face, and you'll actually get lines in other parts of your face because your body's trying to keep up with expression. Like, they don't tell you these things. They give you like a couple other things that may happen temporarily. And like, I've met thousands of women within my breast implant illness Facebook group that have had like horrible, horrible, horrible reactions to Botox. But it's like, oh, my breast implants have been fine, or oh, my face has been fine since getting Botox. We're allowing each other, we're enabling each other to do this shit. Right? And we're enabling it, and we're allowing it, like I was, from a place of insecurity. And I used to cover it up with like, oh, I always liked my small boobs, I just wanted bigger ones. That was bullshit. It was bullshit. And me having to go back to like super small ones again that will never look like they did before, I have to admit that now. I've had to go through a whole bunch of self-discovery and self-development in a really short amount of time, so I did not fall into that spiral of like self-hate. And like, we are creating that. Like, breast implant illness, breast implants, like, they don't tell you, just like Botox, if you get Botox for years, your face won't look the same again if you decide to stop. They don't tell you when you get breast implants, oh, hey, if you ever want to take these out, do you want to have them until you're dead, Ashley? No, thank you, doctor. Oh, okay, well, just so you know, if you take them out, they'll look really messed up. Oh, and hey, just so you know, if you do Botox for years and you suddenly stop, your face will lose its elasticity and you might actually look older than you literally are now. Like, it's so messed up that like, we're doing these things to each other and we're allowing this to happen. because these things aren't good. I was doing some research, and 1 in every 3,000 women will actually die from getting Brazilian butt implants. Yes, and that surgery right now, that plastic surgery is actually like so on the rise, it's insane. And 1 in 3,000 people will die? Like what, like why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I can guarantee you it's not because of the men. It's not because men are like, oh my God, I hope one day she gets butt implants. That would be amazing. It's not about that. We're doing this. We're comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. And when we compare ourselves to every other woman that's setting the fucking bar up here, that you better look like you're 25 at 40, that's messed up. Like, what happened with just aging naturally and aging beautifully? Like, I could go on. But I should probably get to some points on how you guys can get past this. I have 5 points on like how I have worked to get past this and how I want you guys to work on getting past this, because it starts with us. Like, we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. Do you really want to be going and spending money on all this shit? Do you really think it's coming from a place of self-love? Really, 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 really. If you're honest, probably not. Like, do you really want to be putting yourself under anesthesia? Do you really want to have this stuff for the rest of your life? Would you just imagine if you actually aged beautifully and everyone around you is also aging naturally and beautifully, and you were just comparing yourselves to natural aging beauty? Imagine how awesome that world would be. Just imagine. So, how do we get back to that? How do we support each other? How do we really be #self-love, #babes supporting babes, #body positive? How do we really get back to that? Well, I'm not expecting people to stop getting those things, because I know my one speech isn't going to do that. But I do want to poke holes in your belief system so that you can actually start to think outside the box and not be like a puppet of society, a puppet of like what our plastic surgeons and Allergan, who is also the same producers of breast implants as they are Botox, we're not letting them rule our beauty standards, because they're getting in our heads, and it's like, it's not good. And we're not saying it's because of that, but it clearly is. So, getting ahead of myself. First thing we have to do is we have to stop looking at what we're consuming. So magazines and TV. If all you're doing is grabbing magazines that are saying things like, look 10 years younger now, or lose 20 pounds this month, or you're watching things like Real Housewives, which the whole name in itself is an irony. They're Real Housewives, but they don't look real and they don't live real lives, but that's what you're watching. And yes, sometimes you might realize that, but does your subconscious? No. So when you go to bed that night or you wake up that next morning, you're like, oh man, maybe it would be nicer to have my skin like this. You shouldn't be consuming stuff like that. You should not be watching stuff like that. You should not be like buying things like that. You shouldn't be flipping through a magazine and be like, oh, I really like that product. That one will make me look 10 years younger, but also fuck up my liver. We're only thinking about the surface. So first thing is like, just be aware of what you're consuming. Just be aware of what you are telling your brain. Because like I said, your brain does not know the difference between real and not real. You know, but subconsciously you're comparing yourself to that, and that's setting your beauty standard. So just know what you're consuming. Second thing is to stop chasing the next pill, the next needle, the next procedure, and just love the shit of yourself as is. This is #true self-love, real self-love, whatever you want to call it. Like, stop chasing the next thing. Just honestly love yourself as is. If I got my breast implants out and did not start to accept myself as is, and I was like, oh, what's the next thing I can do to make myself feel confident again, or actually have good sex with my husband again? There's nothing I can chase. I would keep on chasing for a lifetime. I had to decide, because it is a decision, to just love myself as is now. So you have to decide, who do you want to be? Who do you want your children to see you as? Right? Decide what you want to be now, and just love yourself as is. It's a work of practice. I'm not saying like one day you're just going to wake up. Like, there's still days I look at myself naked and I'm like, man, wish my boobs were a little more full, or they weren't so saggy, or I didn't have big scars underneath them. But the reality is I have to look at them, and I have to change what I'm saying to myself, and I have to be really proud of myself of how brave it was. I want you guys to be the brave people in making those decisions to not go and get these procedures done. I want you guys to be telling your friends when they come to you and because this was me, okay? Like I would tell all my friends, and before it was authentic, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. But the last several months since having all of these things happen in my life, when a friend comes up to me and says they want to do this or they want to do that, I'm like, yes, whatever makes you feel good. A true friend, a true babe supporting babe would be like, you know what? You're really beautiful the way you are. This is going to change and you have to accept this and you just have to embrace it, because what's going on here, the energy you bring into the room, the way you treat people, the legacy you leave, that is your beauty. That is who you are. And remind them that like there's consequences to these things. And I feel, this is where I feel like I've been faking it. And like, I feel like I've been telling people what I think they want to hear because I want to be really supportive, but I don't think I'm really supporting them in the long run. I'm not. I'm not supporting who they really are in the long run. And I want to be that person, like, fuck, it's gonna make me cry again. It just bothers me so much that I was encouraging people to do this. And at the time, it wasn't obviously coming from where I'm at now, but like, I'm just mad at myself. And the only thing I can do for those of you that are listening and like have ever considered this is that like, oh, fuck. Sometimes I think we're trying to be too nice and get likes and get followers and you know, not cause any disrupt or anything like that, but like we're actually doing harm to each other. Oh, fuck. So that's number 3. Number 4 is to start curating your social feed. And we've said this before about like the body positive movement, but start curating your feed and following people that are like, and I'm not saying people that get these things done aren't beautiful, because some of these people that get these things done are some of my bestest friends and like are in my community, and I don't judge them and I love them and I admire them. But if you find you are playing with these things in your head and you're thinking about these things, that you need to start following people that you want to emulate. And that, so like if it's fucking with your self-esteem, don't follow somebody that's using face tuning apps. And I promise you guys, I will never ever use that again. And yes, you might see a filter on my photo because I'm trying to brand and my photos look all the same, but you're not gonna see me like making my eyes more blue and smoothing my face out and like getting rid of my acne. Like I won't be doing that anymore, never. And so make sure you're following people that are aging naturally and beautiful. Like when I think of like my mother-in-law or I think of my mom, like my husband and I were just talking about this earlier, like I never look at them, no matter how old they're getting or got, and I never look at them and be like, wow, they're gross. Like, wow, they got so many lines, how disgusting. Like, I look at them and I'm like, wow, you guys are beautiful. Like, it's the person they are. It's not what they look like. And like, that's what I want to be for Rowan. Like, I want her to remember like that I rocked my lines and I rocked getting older, and I'm gonna sag and I'm gonna drag and like, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And by doing that, I'm giving her permission to do the same thing. And so I just want to make sure that you guys are doing your best to curate your feeds. And like I want to follow women that have had their breast implants taken out. I want to follow women that are smaller. I want to follow women that have lines on their face, because you know what? It makes me feel like a real fucking person when I do. And I don't want to compare myself to so-and-so that, and you know what? It's amazing when people admit they have Botox. That's awesome. But we're still comparing, right? We're still comparing. So I want to compare myself to somebody that doesn't do that. So make sure you're curating your feeds properly. And remember that every time, and I've touched on this and talked about this, but make sure that every time you consider getting a procedure like I did, that you are influencing and you're perpetuating these fucked up beauty standards, and that women are doing it to each other. And we're not really babe supporting babes if we're doing this. And you have to think that it's bigger than you. It's bigger than your insecurity. Like the message, the things that I'm trying to say here, this is so much bigger than this. Like, every time you book an appointment to go get your Botox done, like maybe just don't go. And that's you taking a stance. And that's you, like showing people that they can age naturally and that you can be confident and that you're more than what's on the outside. And don't hide it. Don't hide it with self-love, hashtag. Don't hide it with that. And just be the change you want to see in the world. And I hope that I become a part of this for you guys, because I'm really embarrassed that I did that. I just don't want women ever comparing themselves to me. Thanks, Matt's giving me wine, so I settled down. I don't want women comparing themselves to me when I have fake tits or Botox or face tuning apps. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. For me and for you and for my daughter, for my mom. I just hate how all of this is so normalized now. It's like going to the dentist. It's just so normal to get these things done. And it's not normal. And it shouldn't be normal. And we're making it seem like it's just passé. And it shouldn't be like that. And I'm sorry if I ever made anyone feel that way, and I don't ever want to do that again. And I want you guys to know that, like, you have to love yourself as is, and I don't judge people that get it done, but like, just think outside of the box. Like, we're all just like following the herd right now, and we're not thinking deep enough. We're just like, yeah, that looks good. Like, that would make me feel awesome doing it. And then like, it's just like that. Like, it's not a big decision. And it is to some people. I'm not trying to negate that some people aren't thinking big and like deciding not to do it. But like, we're not actually thinking it's a big deal. And I don't get that anymore. Like, it is a really big fucking deal. So, I guess I just want to change I just want to finish with, like, I'm not saying that I want everyone, like, I'm wearing makeup right now. I get my hair dyed. I'm probably going to get my nails done again. Like, I'm not saying don't take care of yourself and enhance the beauty that you are, but you don't have to erase your wrinkles. You don't have to morph your body. You don't have to do these things to feel beautiful. Just enhance the person you are. And take this stuff seriously. Again, take it seriously. And like, it should be taken seriously. And I just feel like everybody and their neighbor is getting these things done, and I was literally just about to do it, so I get it. But we gotta think bigger, guys. Like, we gotta think bigger, and we have to take back our right and realize that we're the ones doing this to each other. So I want you guys to come with me and be the change in the world that you want to see, because I know we all have insecurities. Like, 91% of us are not happy with ourselves, and if we keep comparing ourselves to these really crazy standards that are normalized today, that's not good for us on the inside. Like, we might think it's not, even people that are like, oh, well, I've done my research on, say, Botox and breast implants, and they're not that bad for you. Well, even if you don't think they're physically bad for you, subliminally and like emotionally, it's really not that healthy for you. And I want you guys to help me share this message, because clearly I feel really passionate about it, by sharing and tagging every woman that you think is beautiful and that needs to hear this message, whether you think they need to or not. because that was me, and I just kept on saying or not saying anything because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I just wanted to be nice to everyone. But that's not what women need to hear. And women need to hear that they're beautiful, and they need to take the right back, and they need to be empowered to age naturally and love themselves as is. Like, this shit wasn't even around, like, you know, a couple decades ago. Like, this shit wasn't even around. Like, this is new. I'm not expecting it to change right now, but like, we need to be the change. And yeah, thank you for letting me speak my truth and for listening. And yeah, wow. I don't know if I'm gonna go through and read everyone's stuff, but at least right now I will later. And but thank you, and let me know if you guys have any questions or if you have any comments. And not everyone has to agree with me, and that's okay. And if it did really get you going, ask yourself why. And yeah, that's all.